We are at the end of Super Bowl 53, and me, Isaac Punts, I am thoroughly impressed. I mean, it was an absolute showing of pure punting prowess. The Rams punter just hit a Super Bowl record of a 65-yard punt. There were 8 punts down inside the 20, with 5 of those being down inside the 10. But despite this being the defensive equivalent of a game ending in 45-52, people were upset, mad even, that this Super Bowl happened the way it did, and that the Super Bowl happened at all. But why are people so pissed off? Well, to answer this, we're going to have to do what we love to do here and go back. Okay, but before I get into that, I've got some great news. I'm moving, which is why it looks so empty behind me. But I'm not gonna lie, the process is kind of kicking my butt a little bit between like getting all the YouTube stuff done, moving everything in, and solving the endless supply of puzzles in the shape of furniture that my wife has bought. It has been really eating into my sleep time, which is why I am so happy that I've got today's sponsor, Bear Mattress. Now look, I've had my Bear Mattress for a couple months now, and it has been a complete game changer to my sleep. I didn't even know what I was missing out on. I mean, the mattress keeps you cooler, I sleep straight through the night, and wake up feeling awesome. The best part is, the setup is super easy. They delivered it straight to my door, so all I had to do was get it out of the box, lay it down, and boom, ready to go. Not only that, but you don't even have to guess what mattress will fit you best, because they have a sleep quiz that you can take online to ensure that you get the right fit. And the best part is, they hooked me up with an absolutely insane plug to make sure that you guys get a great deal. So if you go to bearmattress.com/IsaacPunts and use code IsaacPunts, you're gonna get 40% off. Do you hear me? 40% off. That's more than anything they offer on the site. So trust me when I say go to bearmattress.com. If you're looking for a mattress, heck, if you're not looking for a mattress and you just want to upgrade your sleep life, go get yourself a Bear Mattress. It has been great. Honestly, awesome. You are going to thank me later. bearmattress.com/IsaacPunts using code IsaacPunts for 40% off. So naturally, before we can even talk about this specific season, we have to take a look at one big important piece of context for those who may have only started watching football in the last 6 years or so, and that's the Patriots dynasty as a whole. I mean, since Tom Brady took over at the helm in 2001, they had won more Super Bowls than times that they have missed the playoffs in those 17 years. They currently had 5 Super Bowl rings, had been to the Super Bowl 8 total times, with their current stretch of back-to-back Super Bowl appearances coming off a loss to the Eagles in one of the more fun Super Bowls to watch of our lifetime. But it's not like they were just winning good, clean games. At this point, there was a level of Patriot fatigue greater than what most modern football fans could even fathom. You think people are getting tired of the Chiefs after a really good 5-year run? Well, imagine almost 20 years of the same thing. Looking pretty beatable in the season, then getting to the postseason, and through luck and controversy, winning games to get to the Super Bowl. You really couldn't count them out of being Super Bowl contenders until they were officially eliminated. I mean, take for instance 28-3, where everybody assumed they were dead to rights, or against the Seahawks at the goal line, where nobody thought that they would walk out of that one with a win. They also constantly were caught up in controversy. You had the Tuck Rule, Deflategate, Spygate, a series of rules exploitations. They were not just a dynasty, but a dirty one that pretty much every non-Patriots fan wanted to see lose on the biggest stage, which is why the 2018 Super Bowl was so popular, because the Eagles, led by backup quarterback Nick Folk, was a real David versus Goliath, where they beat them in the most unexpected fashion. But that would do little in the way of actually changing what was about to happen in 2019, as the Patriots team once again remained stalwart. After a 1-2 start, losing to a Blake Bortles-led Jaguars team who, can I just say, were absolutely cooking as he threw for 4 touchdowns. They then went on to lose to the Lions the following week, but would regain their momentum in the form of a 6-game win streak, with the highlight of that being a fireworks show against the Kansas City Chiefs. This young and gritty team led by little-known quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who seemed to just blow the top off of this offense and handed them their first loss of the season after starting out 5-0, with just a trademark Tom Brady game-winning drive, wasting the rest of the clock to set up a chip shot field goal for the win. but as the season unfolded, we were getting a pretty clear picture of who the most dominating teams were. In the AFC, it was 100% this young Chiefs team that Shirley will never get tired of, and the Patriots, who were looking great, possessing a strong record, and the Chiefs having one of the most electrifying seasons you might have ever seen, with their only losses coming in that 43-40 shootout with the Patriots I just told you about, a 54-51 offensive masterclass by Andy Reid and Sean McVay, a 1-point loss to the Chargers as Phillip Rivers showed he still could sling it as he put together a final 2-minute drive to lock it away, and a 1-score loss to the Seahawks, who just put on a really solid game altogether. But in the NFC side, competition was just as high. You had leading the charge the Los Angeles Rams, led by third-year starter Jared Goff, who was dicing up teams with the help of a stacked offensive line and Todd Gurley toting the rock, as well as a stout defense led by Aaron Donald, who was coming off of a Defensive Player of the Year season and looking to do it again, as well as having another all-time great in the middle of that defensive line with Ndamukong Suh, who, if you want to know more about how good he was, I actually just released a video on him, so go check that one out. But their only more than 1-score loss came to the New Orleans Saints, the other team dominating the NFC, as Drew Brees was putting up yet another quarterbacking masterclass year as he was looking to pull this team to another Super Bowl to put his name up there with the greatest of all time, despite the fact that I think when we look back at his career, maybe he actually was the greatest quarterback of all time, but he just didn't have the look. But don't worry, we'll get back to that. So coming into this postseason, there were about to be just no surprises. The wild card round happened as these 4 teams watched patiently to see who their victims would be, as the Colts, Cowboys, Chargers, and Eagles all punched their tickets to Pound Town, where in the AFC, they would all fall in line with the Chiefs pulling off an 18-point victory over the Colts, as we were officially kicking off their dynasty run, and the Patriots putting up a 41-28 win over the Chargers, which is a lot closer than how the game felt, as it was 35-7 at halftime. Now, the NFC would have to work a little harder as the Saints had to make up a 14-point deficit after a slow first quarter to sneak out a 20-14 win over the Eagles, and on the flip side, the Rams would be the ones trying to stifle a comeback attempt as they would win by 8 points, requiring a carefully orchestrated final drive to ensure the Cowboys would never get the ball back. So now, all the best teams poised to face off against each other, and we would get some absolute cinema. I mean, to kick us off, the Patriots and Chiefs game would be a great one, with pretty much the whole world outside of New England cheering on the Chiefs. Tom Brady would show us exactly why we should still fear him, as he'd put up a 350-yard passing performance. However, he did throw 2 picks, which would keep the Chiefs in the game, as Mahomes showed that he could go toe-to-toe with Brady even on a good day, as he'd throw for 300 yards himself and 3 touchdowns. This glorious affair, though, would have to be taken to overtime, where the game was unfortunately decided by a coin flip, as the Patriots would win, and Mahomes and this red-hot Chiefs offense would never get a chance to touch the ball again. Now, if you're wondering, Isaac, I thought there was a rule change to make sure that both teams would touch the ball in overtime, no matter what. That actually wasn't until later, when it was the Bills who would lose to the Chiefs in overtime, thus getting the rules changed, which surprisingly happens a lot for the Bills. So while this was definitely a largely groan-inducing game for most people who watched it, as the Patriots seemed to steal another win, it actually sets up this interesting matchup. The battle of 2 legendary quarterbacks in Drew Brees taking on Tom Brady, assuming the Saints could pull off the win. Now this, no matter how much people didn't like the Patriots, was something you'd get excited for, especially with how well they were both playing. So with that, the game between the Saints and the Rams commenced, and it was just a brilliant back and forth between the Rams and Saints, as it was going to come down to the wire. But in the waning minutes of the game, the Saints on 3rd and 10 had a chance to get the first down and put it away in one of the most controversial calls in playoff history. Lewis would get hit early, and there was no flag thrown for a PI, forcing them to settle for 3, where the Rams eventually get the ball back, get a field goal of their own to take it to overtime and win it there. So throw this on your narrative that Drew, despite his best efforts, was constantly getting screwed, and you also got this undesirable matchup of the Rams taking on the Patriots, where we missed out on pretty much every cool storyline coming into this, like a glorious shootout that would have been a Chiefs-Saints Super Bowl, or an amazing rematch that would have been Chiefs and Rams from earlier this year, or heck, even like I alluded to earlier, the Patriots-Saints matchup, which would have 2 of the best quarterbacks maybe of all time facing off head-to-head on on the biggest stage. So now, not only was this missing out on a ton of storyline hype, but when we got into the game, oh my god, it was terrible. The first half was an absolute slog. The first drive seemed to be promising before Tom Brady would throw the first pick of the night on his very first throw, and then the Rams would just be ice cold, being forced to punt it back. The Patriots could move the ball again, this time finishing their drive in field goal range thanks in no small part to a phantom call on a negative play on 2nd and 14 to give the Patriots a free first down, not only keeping the drive alive, but also being called against the same corner that got the huge no call earlier against the Saints, and just a so painful moment for the handful of Saints fans who actually decided to turn on the game, as I'm sure they turned it off immediately after that play. But in a moment of rectification, Gostowski would miss and the score would remain 0-0. And through 3 more punts, it would stay that way until early in the second quarter, the Patriots would move back into field goal range and connect on the first and only point of the half, as it ended with a big nothing burger of drives where the Patriots floundered and the Rams continued to be dead in the water. By the second half, almost nothing had changed. It wouldn't be until 5 drives into the half that the Rams would put together their first drive of over 25 yards, as they would literally barely sneak into field goal range, and our only other bit of excitement in the game was all crammed into the last few minutes, as the Patriots would randomly come alive to put together a 5-play scoring drive, showing us a glimpse of a more exciting game in an alternate universe, where immediately the Rams would put together a bit of a drive themselves before Goff would throw an interception to set up a Patriots to kick 1 more field goal. But the incredibly conservative play calling of the Patriots, mixed with a complete offensive implosion by the Rams and the backstory of controversies and disappointments by the games leading up to this, meant that when the Rams lined up for a field goal down by 10 points with 8 seconds left in the game, they weren't just ending a disappointing game, but officially setting up the most hated, despised Super Bowl game of all time.